Welcome everyone. We are blessed to have you join us for this webinar. My name is Walid Al-Hakim. I'm working as a senior project manager in Falcon Fizz. I have more than 10 years experience in oil and gas projects, execution projects in oil and gas industry, such as pipelines, refinery, and gas plants. In this webinar, we will talk about the demand, market demand, and explore the latest technology and methods for detection methane and greenhouse gas leaks, along with the accurate emission quantification. And that's, of course, to support the sustainability and environment complaints. We hope you find this session is important and insightful. We welcome your questions and participation throughout. So I would like to also welcome Mohammed Mashnoub, Senior Key Account Manager in Falcon Fizz, and Mr. Andrew from IRMA Company, the Managing Director of IRMA Company. So please, Mohammed, if you can just give brief introduce yourself.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you, Walid, and thank you to those who have joined us. So my name is Mohammed Mashnouk. I'm a Senior Key Account Manager for Falcon Fizz. I'm based out of our Riyadh office location. Been with the company now for almost 5 years, and oil and gas and sustainability are under kind of my responsibility. So it's great to be here with you, Walid, and also with Andrew. We're looking forward to a nice discussion together.
Thank you, Mohammed. So Andrew, can you please give a brief introduction about yourself?
Absolutely, with great pleasure. Hi everyone, it's an honor to be here. My name is Andre. I've been in the Gulf region for 16 years now, so it's my home now. And over the last 10 years, I've been working in space industry, so primarily working with launching the satellites and building the satellite missions. In the last 3 years, I've been leading the IRMA company in its expansion to the Gulf region. And my goal is to explore all the different technology instrumentation, modern technology to detect the methane leaks and greenhouse gas emissions using modern remote sensing technologies.
Great and interesting, Andre. Thank you. So the agenda will be brief. We will talk about the market demand, then we'll talk about Falcon Fizz drone excellence. Then we will talk about IRMA company, the expertise and the advantage of this company. Of course, we'll talk about some sample videos, and of course, finally, we'll talk about Falcon Fizz inspection platform. At the end of the session, we will open the chance to questions, and please, if you are interested in more deep discussion about these topics, please scan the code and sign your interest, and we will talk to you, and we will schedule another meeting and another session with you to talk about the topic in deep details. So Mohammed, why we talk about the gas detection and methane gas detection in this, and what is the market demand on this topic? Please go ahead.
Absolutely, yes. So actually, that's a question we get asked quite a lot. And so first of all, why methane and why now? And so the honest answer is that there's 3 things which have kind of converged at the same time. You have regulatory pressure, we have technology that has caught up to the demands, and of course, it's just become a problem which is impossible to ignore, essentially. And so I'd like to begin with this slide here, and this chart actually tells a big story, and it surprises a lot of people. All of these 4 bars are trying to answer the same question, which is how much methane does Saudi Arabia's oil and gas sector actually emit, right? And the answers, as you can see, they range from 3.2 million to 0.94 million approximately. And that's two disparities. So the 3.2 million figure is from European database and sources, and the 0.24 million tons is the official number which the Saudi government submitted to the UN. And that's not, a rounding difference or an error in estimation. Perhaps it's a 13-fold gap between two reliable, credible, and official sources, which is huge. A 13-fold difference in anything is not small by any means. But specifically when you talk about methane, it's a huge gap in reporting. The greenish bar, which you see, which is around 0.94 million tons, that's an estimation by satellite by the King Abdullah Research Center here in Riyadh, in partnership with a French geospatial company. And of course, you can see the sources at the bottom of the slide there. The number in Kuwait, you can see on the slide, is even bigger. It's 100 times gap between the government figure and what satellites detected. And so you can see here that there's a big gap in all the numbers which are being reported. And we're not here to say which number is right, because it's not our position to say so. These are all official, reputable sources. What really matters is the fact that nobody really knows, and no one actually knows the real number. And so if you are an operator trying to prove your performance, if you're a regulator trying to track the compliance, or you're a buyer trying to evaluate the carbon-adjusted procurement, you can't make decisions on data which is this inconsistent. And so that's kind of the gap which exists at the moment. And so why does this have to be solved right now? Well, this timeline kind of tells you the story. There's the Paris Agreement in 2015, which created the framework for how countries have to report emissions. And then the reporting requirements have gotten stricter with every cycle. In 2021, 155 countries, including Saudi Arabia, they signed the Global Methane Pledge, which is a commitment to cut methane emissions by 30% from 2030 by 2030 compared to 2020. And the critical moment in this timeline is in 2024, which is when countries were required to submit their first biennial transparency reports, or BTR, which is the most detailed emissions disclosure requirement that has ever been mandated under the Paris framework. And so Saudi Arabia, of course, had to submit one back in 2024. And this is really where the key problem exists, which is you can't credibly report a 30% reduction if you don't know what the actual baseline or the original baseline was. And what we saw on the previous slide is that the figures can vary very largely. And so essentially, this is not a deadline which is coming in the next few years. It's a deadline which is already here. And there's a lot of pressure to establish these baselines and create these credible single source baselines right now, and not in the next 3 or 4 or 5 years.
Great.
Finally, there's also there's 5 forces converging at the moment, and we have 5 things happening simultaneously at the same time. And so this really differentiates the situation today from what it was around 5 years ago. Firstly, as I mentioned previously, the regulatory pressure is real. The pledges and the reporting deadlines and everything we just mentioned in the last slide. Secondly, we now have technology which has genuinely improved. We have satellites that could detect emissions on a national level. We've got drones and new emerging technologies which really give you accurate data, which was not the case back in 2019 or around 5 or 6 years ago. Thirdly, there's the market credibility risk. So, of course, European buyers and buyers in Asia as well who are looking to buy oil, they're now starting to talk about methane intensity and talking about basically the ESG requirements. And if you don't fit these requirements, you could be excluded from such procurement activities. So that's, of course, a big risk. Number 4, we already mentioned this, the discrepancies, 2x to 100x is a big gap, which exists at the moment. And number 5, of course, which is a really important point, is the alignment between Vision 2030 and the Saudi Green Initiative. As you know, this commitment to plant 10 billion trees, the net zero ambitions by 2060, the sustainability reporting requirements of all the biggest companies in Saudi, such as Aramco, SABIC, Ma'aden, etc. All of this requires measurement infrastructure, which is not fully developed or fully mature yet in the kingdom. And none of these 5 things are nice to haves, you know, they're must-haves. They're all active. They're all requirements which must be acted upon at the moment. And they're all pointing towards the same gap, which is what we talked about at the very beginning. And that's the gap that throughout our discussion today, I hope you can see that we're looking to fill this gap.
Thank you, Mohammed. So you mentioned a very important point, that sustainability about an environment complaints. So this is, I think, the main purpose of gas detections, and you give us some regulation or statistics about these topics. And let's now move to another point. What is the role of Falcon Fizz, and what is the previous experience in gas detection in oil and gas industry?
Sure, absolutely. So as you mentioned, we talked about the background, but why Falcon Viz? And then, of course, after this, why Airmo? Because together we provide a comprehensive solution. So just to talk towards the Falcon Viz part, we've got, as you can see from the summary slide, over almost 150 satisfied clients since we started working with drones almost 11 years ago. We've got ISO 21384-3 certification, which is a specific ISO certification for operating drones. We've got 75 plus registered drones and 10 plus certified pilots at any given time. And so if we just go a bit deeper into each one of those points, as I previously mentioned, we've got proven experience in the KSA market. We've got a list here of some of our clients. You can see all the major players in industrial and sensitive facilities, oil and gas, petrochemicals, etc. In Saudi Aramco, Saudi Electricity Company, which is now Saudi Energy, the Water Authority, but also Sadara, NDT, CCS, Sitcam. And of course, this list is non-exhaustive. So just recently, we conducted a project with Samref. We haven't had time to add their logo yet, but you can see that we've actually got credible experience working with drones in highly sensitive facilities. And so that is supported by the fact that we've got a diversified fleet of drones. And this is a point I'd like to touch on, which is not that we're only a drone company. We consider ourselves a digitization company or a reality capture company. And that reality capture can take forms in many ways. It could be drones, it could be ground sensors, it could be handheld devices, as you can see here, satellite. Really, it depends on the requirement of the client. We capture some sort of reality, whether it's geospatial data, oil and gas data, methane in this case. And then we provide these deliverables in the form which is suitable for the client's requirements. If we just touch upon very briefly the drone operation excellence aspect, I mentioned the drone ISO. It's not just a fancy number, 21384-3. It means that you are certified to a very high level to operate drones, not only in sensitive facilities, but across the kingdom as well. It means that we've got an operations manual of 200 plus pages, taking into account every risk, every pre-flight check, in-flight check, post-flight check, etc. And all these things come in very handy, of course, when you're operating in areas as sensitive as oil and gas. And we were the first company in the Middle East to have this kind of certification, which is a big achievement.
Of course, this certificate also have auditor, Muhammad, and they have regular audit every part of years, so to make sure that you are compliant with the regulation and with this standard of the certificate.
Absolutely. Actually, our surveillance audit is coming up. You just reminded me. It's coming
Get
up
ready
in the middle of May. Yeah. So it's all verified operational procedures, which helps us position ourselves as the central drone operating company in Saudi. One more thing I want to touch upon is the academy. So the Falcon Viz Academy is it's not just for training and development, which is a big core aspect of it, but also it's a consulting arm of Falcon Viz. So for any client who maybe would like to start to use these emerging technologies, but maybe doesn't know where to start, how to start, we assist in kind of developing the use cases. We assist in helping them procure the correct equipment, training them on this equipment. So it's a full capacity building exercise, and we can go on this kind of exercise with our partners at Airmo to any client who requires kind of knowledge sharing, any deep technical workshops. We're more than happy to do that. And I think that really means that we have a winning team here when it comes to such services.
Yes, for the academy is for both private sector and government sector, right?
So yes, so for the it's mainly for the government sector, but also private sector. We offer some training and some capacity building to the private sector as well.
Great. Thank you, Muhammad, for this rich information, and we will get back to you. Now we would like to get the floor to our partner, Mr. Andrew from Airmo. So we need to explore what is the solution for gas detection, Andrew, and what is the advantage of your company in this sector, please?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for perfectly setting up the stage for my presentation as well. You both very good, done a very good job in telling the story about the convergence of different trends that lead to the importance of the methane and greenhouse gas emission monitoring now. So this was a great job. So yeah, if you could switch to the next slides. Couple of words about the Airmo. So Airmo is headquartered in Berlin in Germany. So it's a European company. I've been with the company since the inception, or even pre-inception. So it's been over 3 years now, and we've moved very fast. We, to date, are about 35 FTEs between Luxembourg, Berlin, Munich, Abu Dhabi, and Saudi Arabia. We raised almost $10 million in private VC capital from the leading impact funds in Europe and the Middle East. And we also raised significant amount, I think close to 5 or 6 million in public funding and grants as well. We're a proud contractor of European Space Agency and German Space Agency as well. And in the Middle East, in the Gulf, we are a part of the climate tech hub in Abu Dhabi, backed by Mubadala, and also proud alumni of Taqaddam accelerator in KAUST as well. And of course, in Saudi Arabia, we're working with Aramco, we're working with KFPM, with KAUST, and we're proud selected partner of Falcon as well for commercializing our drone technology and our data processing pipeline in Saudi Arabia.
Great.
And
mostly cover all the Middle East.
Yes. Great. And of course, I'm responsible for the operations that we have currently in Oman, in Qatar, in UAE, and also in Saudi Arabia. So that's kind of my area of responsibility. Great. You can switch to the next slides. And so basically, the mission of company is to bring transparency into the methane emissions globally. And we do that by leveraging our team and founding team expertise in development of sensor technology. So we are primarily the instrumentation company. So we develop our own instruments, and then we kind of deploy those instruments on all the different modes. So here on this slide, you can see that we already rolled out to the market our ground sensors for shortwave infrared spectrometry. Then we developed the lightweight drone sensor based on laser technology that we can deploy on different drones, and it's compatible with a large range of different drone models. We also developed the I would say the bigger sensor, the push-button sensor for, I actually have it here, the biggest sensor for planes and large drones. So you can see it here, have it in my home office here. So it's a little bit blurred. It's blurred for the confidentiality, by the way. It's not the artifact of my camera. It's just the automatic filter that blurs the sensitive technology. Just kidding. And of course, basically the last piece of the missing link of our technology is the satellites. So we're also launching our own constellation of microsatellites, and the first satellite is coming online end of next year, and it's going to be the first satellites using the micro LiDAR technology. So where all the other commercial satellites, be it hyperspectral or shortwave infrared, they're using what's called passive spectrometry. So they only measure the reflected light from the surface and from the atmosphere. We're going to be the first company to introduce the active sensor, the LiDAR sensor, which is quite common on drones, for example, but it's unprecedented on commercial satellites. And we're going to be the first company to deploy that specifically to enhance the accuracy of methane detection in, I would say, difficult environments, such as the atmospheric conditions, where you have a lot of dispersed particles from the dust, from desert sand, of humidity, which is exactly what we have here in the Gulf. And it's confirmed by the leading research institutions in the country that passive spectrometry from satellites yields not the best results in the region. And we're excited to bring the LiDAR to the mix, first to the satellite and then also to the drone. And basically, the way it works, we are bringing the entire measurement stack to our customers and partners, where we, upon confirming the use case of the customer, we design the monitoring framework that could utilize all of this, or could utilize just parts of this instrument framework or in family of instruments. And we're particularly excited about working with Falcon Base to deploy our drone solutions, because drones provide the best accuracy, and it's the fastest way to not only quantify emissions, but also to survey the pipelines or extended pipelines or extended assets to detect the leaks and verify the leaks repair after the leak detection repair campaigns. So if you can go to the last slides that I've shared. So here you can see that particularly for the drone sensors, we're bringing two technologies currently in the market. First is what we call the push broom shortwave infrared spectrometry, which is the best use of it is to quantify the point source emissions. So when your use case is quantification of the large assets, or a pipeline, or a big refinery, or maybe a waste treatment facility or landfill, then we tend to deploy the push button sensor, which is the largest sensor that we have. And then the second technology that we're bringing on the market with much better sensitivity, but which is better utilized for smaller sources, is something that we call FluxWall. FluxWall is the technology where basically we have a sniffer on a drone that captures the methane molecules from the air that the drone passes through. That's why it goes through a scanning pattern. And then it's just using the onboard processing, it quantifies all the emissions throughout this wall, basically the scans. That's why it's called FluxWall, and it's able to precisely quantify the rate of emissions that passes through this wall in any given time, and thus quantify the emissions from the source. And I think to basically better to show and to conclude the study of the air sensing technology, I wanted to show a quick video. It's only 2 minutes long, so we will not get bored. But that's the video that shows our qualification campaign that we've done with KFPM and Aramco, Saudi Aramco in Saudi Arabia, in November last year. So let me just narrate it here. So basically, we've done what's when you bring the instrumentation, especially new markets such as Saudi Arabia, you conduct, as an instrumentation company, you conduct something that is called control release experiments. Basically, that's where the independent verifier would set up the, in this case, the source of emissions. In our case, that's the really big set of methane tanks. And then the independent validator would release the certain amount of the methane into the air without telling you what settings have been set on the valve on methane. And basically, your job as the instrumentation company is to measure the methane emissions from that kind of known source with unknown flux, and then to compare the results that you measured compared with what has been released. And we passed the test. We've been doing them for 2 days in a row with all the different instrumentations that we have with different models of drones, and thus we proved the accuracy of our drone sensors and their readiness for deployment in Saudi Arabian markets. And the validator and the customers and investors were very happy with the results. So that was our kind of test campaign for Saudi Arabia, and we are keen to start the commercial deployment of all the sensors in our family of drone sensors together with Falcon Base, and we'll prove the compatibility with standard DJI drones that exist in the market and are available in the portfolio of Falcon Base as well. And here you can see basically we do these different scanning flight patterns above the source of methane. And in the end, what the customer gets is comprehensive reports on the emissions, both as an independent report, plus we deliver our own GIS platform, plus we deliver the integration with the GIS platform of our customer and of our partners, such as the inspection platform of Falcon Base. So we provide all the compatibility that ensures that the data that we deliver is integrated in the workflows of our customers.
Great.
Yes, over to you.
Very interested. It's great. I'm very interested, actually. So now we get the information about the methodology and how gas is detected, and the reports, such as samples reports we will receive after the process of the detections. If we need to connect all this information together, so how we connect this information and how we can access this data. So this question to Muhammad, if you can please explain to us more the next stage after this data collection and get the results.
Of course, yes, of course. So Andrew actually touched upon this, and really having like one single source for all of your so your 3D scans, your surveys of your pipelines, which may have leaks, inspection of assets which had some repairs done, to have it actually 3D modeled and documented, hand in hand with the methane findings, is like it's like hitting not just 2 birds with 1 stone, it's hitting 50 birds with 1 stone. So it's really the kind of the ideal scenario for oil and gas operators. And so this is where the Falcon Viz Inspect platform actually comes in. We can take a deep dive into this with anyone who's interested in a separate call. So of course, feel free, anyone, to register your interest again through the QR code in the corner. But we've got a proprietary platform called Falcon Viz Inspect. You can see here some sample data from a project we conducted for a tank inspection. But essentially, this can be recreated for any kind of asset within an oil and gas facility. And then right into the platform, as Andrew mentioned, we can shift over all the findings of the methane detection and host it right there onto the platform itself. So now you not only have an auditing trail of the methane, different methane detections at different times, you've got full digital twins of your assets, you've got repair monitoring, you've got leak detection, you've got everything all in one place. And so really this is kind of the benefit of having everything under one umbrella. is you have a single source of data, you've got single source of access, and it makes things a lot easier for these operators. And so we're really excited to kind of get this technology going with a lot of our clients. And again, if anyone's interested for like a full demo of the Falcon Wiz Inspect platform, how we can link it to the methane findings, we're happy to do it in a separate call.
Great, Mohammed. So this platform is fully customized. We can customize to the needs of the state, what the situation is actually, and we can customize, right?
Absolutely, yes. So it's fully customizable to the client's request. It could be deployed on a Saudi cloud or on-premise, depending on the client requirements for cybersecurity. We've got all the cybersecurity certifications to publish such a platform and deploy such a platform for the client. So it's fully customizable as per their requirements.
Great. So now we reached the part of the questions, and from the audience, if anyone in need to participate with the question, you are welcome. Please write it, and we will answer all of it, inshallah. During your writing the question, I would like to ask Muhammad just a quick question about the drone inspection across the upstream or downstream assessment in the region. So Muhammad, what is the most common use cases you can get called for, and what is the shift it has been done in the last 2 to 3 years?
Great, yeah, great question. So in reality, most of the requests that still come to us are still inspection focused. So asset inspection of different types, pipelines, flare stacks, etc. But we're seeing alongside that a big emphasis on sustainability and methane and ESG requirements. And as we saw earlier, these are laws and commitments which Saudi Arabia needs to adhere to. And so it's a matter of time before these two requests kind of converge and become, one single request of checking the, let's say the situation of the asset itself, plus the methane leak and methane detection and quantification resulting from that asset. A big part of this is an educational approach because we previously mentioned the academy together with our partners at Airmo, where we would really like to go out and meet these people who are interested. Perhaps they're not aware of the new laws and regulations which they must adhere to, and they're not aware of that such a technology exists. And so the awareness aspect and the educational aspect is very important. And that's part of the reason why we're in this webinar today, actually, to raise awareness to the issue itself and the solution which we've got. And we're happy to take this to an extended workshop kind of scenario with any of our clients, of course.
Great, Mohammed. So back to Andrew. Andrew give us more rich information. So Andrew, if we can need to symbolize and make the things simple to anyone to understand. When an operator, Andrew, tells you we need a methane monitoring, what are they actually asked for?
Sure. So usually it goes into one or two very large buckets, right? You're either talking to the team that is working on leak detection, and they're like in that bucket you have the use cases of we have the routine leak maintenance, but it's too expensive for us because of the size of our assets, right? Because you usually do like manual inspections with the handheld devices, and then it's kind of okay if your asset is small, but the moment you have like pipelines, so you have the bigger refinery, then this handheld devices is very expensive. Or for example, you have the offshore or somewhere remote in a remote area, then it becomes really expensive. That's where the drone helps a lot. And with, for example, with the inspection platform that you guys have, it would be easy to fly the drone and then tag virtually on the platform, tag different leaks for repair, And then once the repair is done, you basically fly the drone again, and then you already know where the virtual tags are, and you can verify that the leaks have been rectified. So like in the first bucket, you have everything concerning the leak detection for whatever reason, health and safety, preventive maintenance, or loss of the product, but you're not very concerned with emissions factor. And the second big bucket is everything concerning emissions. That's where you're talking to the ESG teams, the sustainability teams, innovation teams, or compliance teams, or sometimes investment teams, or kind of reporting to investment teams. And there, everything is about the emissions. And that's a bit of the Wild West in the sense that the regulation pressure is there, but there's no proven methodology. And it's very hard to understand. And there's a lot of like different pitches, right, from different startups or different companies that are saying that they have the best tool to solve everything. And so, yeah, like it's either like when you're qualifying this use case within the organization, you need to understand which bucket it falls into. Either it's leak detection or it's quantification. And then you kind of derive it from there.
Great, great. During your answer, you touched very important points. So I need to ask about is the development in methane regulation recently. Can you please explain more about this development?
Sure. So again, being the engineer myself, but doing the business development and sales sometimes, or most of the times, I tend to work with this decision trees, right? So if you find yourself in the bucket of emissions, right, then you need to kind of work with a decision tree of regulation. And their regulation is basically goes like that. It's either national level or it's international level. If it's national level, right, you're talking about the Vision 2030, you're talking about the emerging regulation actually simultaneously across all the Gulf countries, because all the Gulf countries signed a lot of pledges for net zero transition during the COP28, which was 2023, if I'm not mistaken, so a couple of years ago. So really, like you can track that on the regional and nation regulation. There are certain, again, milestones on adoption of what's called MRV practices, so measurement, verification, and reporting practices, and that's kind of first branch of the decision tree. If you're talking about international, there you have also two branches. Either you have like import-export relationship with some foreign country, most specifically you are selling either directly the oil and gas, so energy products, or you're selling some commodity products. Maybe your customer runs some export of aluminum or steel or some petrochemical products. And that's where they're adhering to, or they're requested to comply with international regulation on import and export of the goods that need to report on their what's called scope 2, scope 3, scope 4 emissions, right? Or the carbon footprint. And that's where you basically need to adopt those international practices. And last but not least, maybe your shareholding structure, maybe part of your company is owned by the international fund, which is public traded, and they have to report on the ESG footprints of their assets. And that's kind of still under regulation, but that's a different branch of the regulation. So yeah, just to summarize, it's either national regulation or international on the export-import, or just shareholding structure of the organization.
Thank you for this full answer. So again, if anyone is interested to more discussion, I know that we will not be able to cover all the topic in 1 hour. Of course, there is another discussion or another session, inshallah, we will provide for anyone. Please scan the code and register your interest, and we will get back to you. So feel free, the audience, if anyone has a questions through the chat, you will be welcome to write your question, please.
Maybe we can give 2 or 3 minutes to see if anyone has any question. And
yes.
So we have a question in the chat. Maybe Andre, you would be best suited for this. It's Lara's asking, how long does a methane detection take, and with frequency does it, and what frequency does it need to be made?
Absolutely. So usually on the first part of the question, on the actual kind of retrieval of the methane using the drone campaign, of course, it depends on the size of the asset, but usually if we're talking about the downstream or upstream assets, we're talking about the kind of the refinery, for example, or the compressor station. Usually it's the campaign that lasts 2 days. Usually the first day you kind of do the calibration and you do the first retrieval flights, and the second day you just fill in the gaps, so to say. So usually it's the 2-day campaign. And how frequent, which is the second part of the question. Again, it largely depends on which bucket you're in, but normally what we see in the Gulf that is being done at least on per quarter basis, because that's the kind of common requirement among all the different frameworks of the regulation. They all, basically what they have in common is what you've alluded to, Walid, in the beginning, where we were talking about this shift from what's called inventory-based reporting, where you basically just in text form describe what type of facilities you have and then what they produced this year or this quarter, right? And that's where you have this large discrepancy between what's been reported using this emission coefficients, basically spreadsheet approach, versus what is being observed from satellites or with a system in place. Right. And what's common there is that this shift requires you to do regular quantification campaigns. And usually it's at least per quarter. Sometimes it's once per month. So we see 2 types of contracts here. It's per quarter or per month.
Hope the answer was covered the question, Lara. And
Sure.
Great. Maybe if there are no further questions, the next minute or so. Again, just to remind everyone, as Walid mentioned, please, if you're interested in a deeper discussion, please feel free to scan the QR code. We're happy to set it up as soon as possible.
Great.
yes, I think we can conclude, Mohammed. I would like to thank Andrew very much for your time and the rich information you provide. Thank you, Mohammed, for the regulation and the information you provide about Falcon Fizz. And hopefully we can get another sessions with deep cases and inshallah practice cases inshallah we can perform in Saudi Arabia.
Absolutely.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank you for organizing this.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a good day. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.